social mediation appropriate methodologies? Do we have a strong assessment and informed instruction?
Good morning, everyone. I hope you all are doing great. I'm Grisha, your host for today's detox session. It gives us immense pleasure to welcome you to Detox, an inspiring initiative by Devi Sansthan. More than just a platform, Detox is a movement, a collective effort that brings together thought leaders, educators, policymakers, and change makers to share bold ideas and collaborative strategies to tackle some of the most critical challenges in education today. As the name suggests, Detox stands for Disruptive Talks, a space that dares to challenge the status quo. Here, we aim to spark conversations that question conventional thinking, ignite innovation, and catalyze systematic change in education. At the heart of Detox is the belief that the dialogue is the first step towards transformation. And through these conversations, we hope to light the path towards real, lasting impact. The central mission of Detox is to bring together passionate individuals and organizations committed to one unified goal: eradicating illiteracy. Illiteracy remains one of the most persistent and deep rooted challenges in our society. And through these sessions, we seek to galvanize a collective response. By exchanging ideas, sharing innovations, and strengthening our networks, we move closer to making universal literacy not just a vision but a reality. About Devi Sansthan. Devi Sansthan has long stood at the forefront of literacy and education movement in India. Our journey began with a simple but powerful vision: to empower every individual through education. Since then, we have worked relentlessly to make learning more accessible, inclusive, and transformative, particularly for those on the margins. Our efforts range from grassroots interventions in underserved communities to large scale programs that influence policy. Through impactful collaborations with schools, governments, and NGO, Devi Sansthan has driven change through teacher training mentorship, community mobilization, literacy campaign, and policy advocacy. Detox is a natural extension of the commitment. It's our way of amplifying efforts, learning from each other, and pushing boundaries together. It is with great honor that we welcome our distinguished guest, Ms. Jaishree Goyal. Hello, ma'am. How are you?
Hello, hi, how are you? Good morning.
Great. Good morning. It is with great honor that we welcome today's detox session host, Ms. Jaishree Goyal. She is a passionate educationist, social innovator, and the visionary founder of the Anandya Foundation. With over 2 decades of grassroots experience, she has led transformative initiatives across education, women's empowerment, and environmental sustainability. Through pioneering efforts like Project Pustakale, she has brought joyful reading and foundational literacy to over 250 government schools, while also empowering rural women through skill building and livelihood programs. Her work seamlessly bridges literacy, livelihood, and dignity, driven by a powerful mission to ensure that every child can read with joy, every woman can earn with dignity, and every idea can grow into a movement. To guide this session, it is a privilege to hand over the session to our host, Ms. Sumita Bhatt. Hi, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning, Grisha. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Ms. Sumita Bhatt is an accomplished educationist with nearly 30 years of experience, progressing from a social science teacher to key roles like vice president and head trainer. She has led global initiatives such as the Ed Leadership Global Conference and Synergy Summit. Through her work with Devi Sansthan and City International School Lucknow, she has advanced foundational literacy, inclusive education, and capacity building at many platforms. She is also known for her expertise in leveraging massive open online training methodologies and crafting training programs that champion inclusivity, gender sensitivity, and high performance learning strategies. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Grisha, and most welcome, ma'am Jaishree Goyal. It is
Thank you.
really an honor to host this talk show, Detox, with you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here on this platform and
Yeah.
talk about
So, ma'am,
education.
yeah, thank you so much. To begin with, ma'am, I would like to know from you that we all know that your programs, are deeply rooted in reading and comprehension, and at the same
Right,
time, you also address the critical thinking and power of expressions among
right.
the readers. So, despite this,
Hmm.
rote learning, we all find that still holds sway in many Indian classrooms.
Right,
Why do you believe, and what reason do you find that rote learning continues to dominate Indian classrooms? And
right.
how do we begin to shift this culture?
So rote learning, absolutely you're right, is one of our biggest hurdles and challenges to overcome. And how you can make out is that when you go walk into any classroom, not any, I would say, let's work with the government school children or the underserved children, and you walk into that classroom, you ask them to read text. They'll read it, and then when you ask them to narrate what they've read in their own words, they will not be able to narrate it. That means they don't read and comprehend at the same time, and that comes from rote learning. So they just mug up the it's like sight vocabulary with having no meaning. It's all the words are like sight vocabulary for them, and there's no meaning attached to it. Now that is a big reason why when if you see the statistics, 96% of the children who are in India are enrolled in some school in nursery and the first grade. At the foundation level, they're all in school. But in high school, this 96% reduces to 46%. And the dropout rate, it happens because education is imparted through rote learning. And hence, as you go to the higher classes, your ability to understand the text becomes less and less. The struggle with academics becomes more and more. And how long can a child just keep narrating something with no understanding in their head? They'll get bored with the struggle, and the struggle will become too difficult. And that's when they start dropping out, and that's when they start finding meaning outside school. So this is a very harsh truth that is lying in our front of our faces, and we, as educationists, we need to see it, accept it. The biggest thing is that we need to accept it and fight it. Now, how we can do it? Firstly, we should be really happy that after a long time, NEP 2020 actually targets this on a war footing. The government has accepted it, that this exists in our country, and it has realized that the first step and the first location or the first area where we need to go and fight this war is in primary school at the foundational level. If we don't strengthen foundational literacy, we are going nowhere. In fact, NEP says that if the foundational literacy is not strengthened, the entire NEP policy lies redundant,
Right, correct.
right? So that is very important. Now, how we can do it? There are various ways we can do it, but if you ask me, my opinion, first of all, we need to understand that English is a second language. It's a foreign language, right? These children don't hear English at home. We need to address it as a second language, as a foreign language. Hindi or a regional language is their first language. Secondly, is it being delivered in a system? Are these languages being delivered in a systematic manner and with a staggered approach? Is the pedagogy being looked at like that? And are the teachers trained to deliver it like that? So, teacher training is extremely important. And all our materials that are going to be used for the delivery of this, which is TLMs, curriculums, textbooks, do they actually understand that the approach has to be very staggered, systematic, in a controlled vocab environment? So these are some of the things that we need to keep in mind. And I think the curriculums and the textbooks for languages need some change, and they need to be looked at differently and recreated for the government school children. Because they are not coming from pre-nursery schools where they're already getting some kind made learning ready. They're coming absolutely blank. There are many reasons, but these are my basic, which I find need to be done.
Yeah, ma'am, very aptly said that. You said that the we we work upon the pedagogies and different decisions are taken, but is it being delivered the right way, the correct way,
Absolutely.
and the approach that the stakeholders have to take? Is
Right.
it being taken that seriously and in the correct direction? That has to be monitored very closely. We
Very
completely agree to
closely,
that.
yes.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, our education system is still based on the exam assessment system. And the way the exam questions are done, they're repeated every year. A lot of them are repeated. What you're seeking as an answer in a question is not somebody's viewpoint, their logic, their critical thinking, or their viewpoint on something, right? You are seeking facts that this question should have these 3 points in it. Then then all our admissions are marks based. So again, you will fall back into the same trap. You fall back into the same trap that where rote learning gets you those marks, and the marks get you admissions.
Hmm.
So where is the urgency to drop rote learning for a student or a teacher? And believe me, learning through rote or delivering a language or anything through rote is an easier way for the teacher. It's an easier pedagogy to follow than delivering anything in a systematic, staggered way, which encourages logic, reasoning, critical thinking, and expression or creative imagination. So, are we creating thinkers and innovators, or are we creating interpreters? What does the education system want to create? Is actually the major question we need to answer.
Right, correct. So, ma'am, that brings me to the next question, where we will talk about your project Pustakale, one of
Magic.
your most recognized
Yes,
initiatives, which has made a powerful impact in more than 475 classrooms till date.
absolutely.
So, in many of
Absolutely.
these settings, children had limited access to joyful reading experiences earlier.
Absolutely.
What
Absolutely.
unique strategies do you implement to make
Mhm.
reading joyful and sustainable in under-resourced classrooms? Your
So,
approach,
yeah.
definitely has brought in more insights, and similar interventions across the country by other people also will definitely bring a larger impact to it. So, would like to hear from you on this.
So, the thing is that when I was working in the villages and I was running a school, I realized that even after the child has studied in my school for 12 years, and my school, they were winning awards, national awards in academics, sports. It was considered to be the best Hindi medium school in that district. When I had alumni meetings, I realized that 80% of them were not employed. And that really irked me. And I felt that as an educationist, I was committing a crime. I took away 12 years of a child's life. Every day the child came to school, stayed with me for half a day. And when I gave the child back to the parent, the child was unemployable. So it
That's the
came,
sad part of it.
that's a it was sad, and I felt like a criminal as an educationist. And I felt that I was not doing my job well enough. That why would I ask somebody to give me that child for 12 years, pay for the education? And when the child finishes the education, the child is not able to put bread and butter on the table. The child rather work in the fields or with their father as an ustad or learn some skill, right? At least the child is able to take care of themselves and the family. So when I did a little research and I looked at many schools around the district and everything, I realized that what dominated was rote learning, lack of critical thinking and expression. The children were not able to express their views out of lack of confidence and fear of being wrong and lack of a vocabulary. So I started thinking that how can we bring these things to the child so that the child becomes a thinker and an innovator and becomes employable and gets the confidence to become employable. And so I really rolled back to my childhood years and what was it that extra that we did in school. And I realized that the library and reading was one of the things that really impacted our education system, our personal education. Where we had a library, we read many books, we were we discussed our books, we talked about various subjects, and we were given the chance to critically think and express. And therefore, we came up with Project Pustakale, and Project Pustakale basically takes up a room in the government schools and recreates it into a child friendly room with vibrant colors, easy accessibility to books, floor seating on a carpet because that's the most familiar form of seating in the homes. They sit on the floor, easy light tables which they can move around, and books from different genres, and most importantly books of all levels, because in our education system we have admission by age. So if you're a 7 year or 8 year old child who's never been to school before, you will be put in class 2 3 or 4, whichever class you need to go to, right? So there is differentiated learners and there's differentiated learning in the same class. And with that, I realized that the library should have different language books. It should be Hindi, English, regional, of all levels, because because I wanted to meet the child where they are in their reading level and not expect the child to be where the classroom expects them to be. So when they came into the library, they could pick up a book of a reading level that they related to or they were aligned to. All the books were colorful, glossy paper, well illustrated. The books started from no picture books, no words, one word, one sentence, paragraph to a full storybook. And when we provided this to the children, there was a huge sense of excitement. It was the first time they got something which is all new, child friendly, easy accessibility, and they were given the right to choose, the right to read what they wanted to read, not being handed over a book and say, read this. And they were not, there was no teacher peering over them and giving a judgment on them. So the reading was also organic. But this was a read to learn program. And there were different genres, so the knowledge increased. There were STEM books. There are STEM books so that they learn new concepts in the classroom, with the classroom concepts and story form, SDGs that teach them about equality, about water, saving water, soil, various things. We now also have books on child rights that educate them on early child marriage, on child trafficking, how it happens, right to education, right to play. But all that was happening beautifully. But I still felt there was a large section of children that were left behind. And this is when we came up with the Read to Learn program, because I realized that there's a large section of children who are not reading. They don't know how to read. So what will they do with all these books? And when I did a study of the schools, I realized that the teachers don't know how to deliver languages in a systematic and with a staggered approach in a controlled and vocabulary environment because they've not been trained. And there's no standardized pedagogy that is used across the schools. Every school is using their own as long as they finish the curriculum. Again, they roll back to rote learning. So we came up with a Learn to Read program. It's phonetically based. It's based on phonics and the science of reading. It has a systematic and a staggered approach, and it presents each technique of reading in isolation. So whatever it teaches, it has 10 books to practice. Then you move to the next one. It has a controlled vocabulary. So when you learn, say, 50 words in your first stage, the same 50 words are used in the next stage with another 50 words. It has a beautiful staggered approach. This is made in Hindi and English right now. We're going to go to the other region languages, and they are a super hit. They're used as TLMs, they are used as reading material by the children to practice. And it gives them a sense of joy because it gives them a feeling mindset changes from I can't read to I can read. It gives meaning through illustrations to all the words that they read. It shows them how to apply those words in sentences and paragraphs. And with that, the child gets the confidence to read and then moves to the rest of the books in the library, which are the read to learn books. To add to that, we have a digital element in the library where all these learn to read books are in digital format because we also got a feedback from the principals that different pronunciations are used for the same word. We have so many dialects in India.
Right. This we have also observed,
Right,
and it's very wonderful to hear from you when you just mentioned that, we in this entire project, be it any
hmm,
project for meant for the children,
right.
we should aim and focus on addressing every single child that is present in the
Yes,
class,
absolutely.
leaving no one behind.
Absolutely.
So, this project that you have taken, big salute to that because it has definitely addressed, all the children in the class, and it's not only just finishing a certain book that has been handed over to them,
Absolutely.
but at the
Yes.
same time understanding it, comprehending it so well that the child is able to create his own questions and present that story in his own words to some other people. That makes us feel satisfied to some extent. Yes, the child has understood what has been the message that has been
Absolutely.
conveyed through that story.
So just to tell you that I was setting up a library. Initially, I used to go myself in the initial days to set them up myself and everything. And there was a girl from the third standard. She came and the children of the school helped me set it up. So she was flipping through a book, uh, alphabet book, and another child said कि अरे she's just come इसको तो पढ़ना she doesn't know how to read इसको पढ़ना नहीं आता है. So the girl felt very sheepish. I just told the girl that can you tell me what do you see in the book? She said same. I said what do you see next? She said aeroplane. I said what do you see next? She said a tree. I said you know how to read? How can anybody say you don't know how to read? And the whole girl lit up like a lighthouse, right? So the thing is that then what happened at that moment? That moment happened that the girl moved from I can't read to I can read mindset. Something like that happened. We were setting up libraries in Pakpat district, and I was on the streets and I saw this girl and I gave her a book, Hindi book, and asked her to read. So these 4 or 5 boys around her on the street came up to her and they peered into the book and they looked at me and said, she can't read because she was reading with a lot of struggle. I told the girl, just keep reading. And she read a paragraph, and I said, now you take this book home. It's your book, and you practice reading. The girl bounced back home. I could see the bounce on her feet. So, by telling children, and this is what the children hear all the time from their parents, from teachers, because that textbook that they get in the first grade, they cannot read. And that textbook goes in their bag every day from home to school, school to home, home to school, school to home. One day the mother takes out the book and says, can you read? And he says, I can't read. Or she says, I can't read. She says, you must be a fool. You've been to school for 6 months. That school is not a fool. I see a good, nice building. I see very smart teachers. I see a nice principal. The whole education system is working over there. Free food, free uniform, free this, free that, and you can't read. You must be a fool. And the child starts believing that he's a fool. He said, yeah, I mean, I can't read, right? But because we are not meeting the child where the child is, we are saying to the child, come where the curriculum wants you to start. But we need to meet the child where the child is and respect the child that being a human child, that child can do anything what any other human child in this world can do. If my child can read, that child in the government school can read because he's got the brain, he's got the eyes and the nose and the ears and everything is the same as my child. If I swap the two children, that child will be sitting in some university in America too. Would you agree with that?
Right, right, completely.
So it is just what we provide them and how we provide it to them and what we feed their brains. Are we feeding their brains that they're fools, they can't read? Or are we feeding their brains that they can read? Right? So, what are we feeding their brains with, and how are we motivating them? And then, how are we applying the pedagogy, and what effort are we putting into them? And as a teacher, I believe that if there's any child who cannot do something or read or learn, it is never the child's fault, it's always the teacher's problem, the teacher's incapacity to be able to deliver. So that is our responsibility as educationists to see that every child in front of us reads with comprehension, is able to critically think on whatever they have read, apply themselves. When Galileo said, and then express themselves, and I always tell everybody this, when Galileo said the earth is round, he was jailed because he was against the larger percentage of his thought and his expression was against a larger percentage of people that time. So today, but he was right. Today he's right. The same sentence was wrong some decades ago, centuries ago, and is right today. So an opinion is an opinion, and we should fearlessly express our opinion. And I can give you a very good example of this is that we had taken some of our children from our pustakale to meet some of our donors, and some of them were from this foreign company, and they were interacting with these children had never been in that situation. And one of the donors asked, said, what do you want to become? Somebody said policeman, someone said police, I want to go into the police, someone said IS officer, someone said doctor. So one of the donors said that, you want to after the meeting was over, they said, you want to become a police, go into the police. I feel very scared talking to you. And the girl promptly said, no, only a thief should be scared of me. This is what we're teaching the children is automation. You repeat the process so many times that your brain is automated to critically think and express fearlessly. And that is what we teach in our pustakalays. Learn to read, then critically think on what you've read, and express fearlessly every book, everything that comes in front of you. And should be such an automated process in your mind, in your brain, in your being, because that becomes who you are then. So this is the
And when
whole,
you speak about self-confidence, that also
absolutely,
connects with the positive language that the elders use with their children,
absolutely,
be it the
absolutely,
teachers or
absolutely,
be it the parents at home.
absolutely. So that's what I'm saying, that we need to train our teachers, and train our teachers and provide them with material that aligns with the beneficiary where they stand today, and then take away that struggle from the teacher also to teach something. So we give the teachers textbooks and curriculums that are not suitable for the beneficiary. So then the teacher gets into the struggle, and the teacher is struggling with her own the what she has to accomplish. The beneficiary is not aligned to the curriculum, and this whole struggle starts. And then, of course, she has to put the blame on somebody. So the blame is on the innocent child who is an easy target.
Right.
See, we're all humans at the end of the day, right? So we need to
Yeah.
also take away the struggle from the teacher. Understand the teacher's struggle. What is the teacher's struggle? Does the teacher know how to dispel languages in a systematic, staggered approach? Does she have TLM which come from a controlled environment, which have a controlled environment? Does he have TLM or and textbooks that meet the child where they are, meet all the different levels of reading levels, and they need to be provided that teacher training, those TLMs. Once we ease that process for them, they're humans. Their struggle will go away. They will be the nicer part of them will come out.
Fine,
So
ma'am. Correct. That's wonderful to have as your observation, and it if really given apt attention, we'll definitely deal with this issue. So we've often heard from you in our previous conversations, you saying that reading with comprehension can change everything, the
yes,
children, their learning, their education, the entire world in a way.
yes,
So, this is actually a very powerful idea that goes beyond decoding words to transforming lives. I hope you'll agree to
yes,
that. So, can you
yes,
share a moment or story when you witnessed this transformation firsthand?
absolutely. So let me tell you that in our life, in the Pustakala, we have many books which are stories of change. And for the younger classes, we have animals like Pura Bhalu, who didn't share or threw the garbage outside the dustbin, it was careless, or wasn't tidy, or it wasn't on time, or watched too much TV. And then in the same book, he changed, something happened, he realized something with his mother or his teacher, and he changed, right? In the older classes, we have Aman, we have Maya. So these are all characters these book series where they're not Bahadur, not Safai Pasand, not honest, and they change. Like Maya did not know about child marriage, now she knows. She did not know about child trafficking, now she knows. In schools where the Pustakala has been for more than 3 years, there has been tremendous behavioral changes because the children have understood that change is possible. They have understood that whatever situation we are from, it is not forever. Whatever we are today, it is not forever. We can change. So when they read with comprehension, they relate to characters. Somebody wants to become Aman, somebody wants to relating to Maya, somebody's getting inspired by Pura Bhalu or Polo. And we find that in schools, theft has gone away, bad language has gone away, physical fights have stopped, kids have started wishing their teachers. We even hear that when a child finds a coin dropped in any place, it is put in a particular tray. That tray is kept at the gate when the children are leaving for home, and only the child who's lost the coin picks it up. So we've heard so many stories of change in schools. But to go particularly, I'll tell you the story of Divya. So Divya came into school because her father late admission. I think she came in the third grade or something like that. She got inspired by the pustakale. She started. She was a quick learner. Was used to beg outside to the beggar, and she said that that's what I used to do in the evening, go and beg because it gave me that little change to buy my ribbons, my little ice cream, lollipop, sweets, and the what I wanted. And she said that after reading all these stories, I got so inspired that she actually approached her principal and said, I feel so sad that there are so many children in my resettlement colony, which they call Basti, who don't go to school. And I feel that they're really missing out something by not going to school. So I want to become their teacher. So she asked us for about 100 books. We gave her 100 books, and she opened in her house, which is basically made out of tin sheds, but with strings and library. And she inspired all these Basti kids to come there and read. The last dialogue I heard from Divya was, I can never go back to begging. I will now read, study, and take up a job. This is what we brought in the children, a change. There was another girl, Kusum, she lived in a foster home. And when I would meet her sometimes in the library, I would chat with her and she would be just crying. And then I heard the story that she lives in a foster home, and it's very difficult at home because in the morning she has to wash the dishes, she has to wash the clothes, fill the water, and then come to school. And I was always asking that, why is her uniform so untidy? And they said, the fact that she's come to school is good enough. So she came into the library and I asked her, what do you like the most in the library? She said, I just like to close my eyes and work. We have some games also, library games, puzzles for children who absolutely can't read. She said, I close my eyes and work with these puzzles and I just flip through the books. And she said, मुझे यहाँ पर I get peace here, मुझे यहाँ पर शांति मिलती है. And the next I saw her after a year and she came to me running and she said, I can read. I'm learning phonetics from Divya Didi. I'm learning phonetics from Divya Didi. I can read. I mean, she says, I know I can read now. I want to come to school every day. And I just told her one thing. I know life is difficult at home. Forget everything. Just come to school, read, and become something. Finish your schooling, and you can get a job, and you'll be out of that situation. And they believe that. Why do they believe that? Because they've read so many stories of change, and they comprehend it. It was not rote learning. They're comprehending those stories. They're identifying with the characters. They're understanding that there can be a story of change. I can tell you so many stories, like this. Like Karan, he was a first generation learner, lived in a tin shed of a construction worker. When he went back home at 2 o'clock from school, he had to light a candle in the tin shed because the electricity only came at 10 o'clock in the night. And he, in the library, through reading, critical thinking, and narration, became one of the star students in the school and was always asked to narrate and come on the stage and the mic because his narration became so good, his expression became so good, his ability to comprehend a subject became so good. These are all stories of change, and which I've seen. I mean, these are just few of them. I mean, I can tell you that I can. They're endless.
These are, Imam, really very, very inspiring. And, so thanks a lot for sharing these so very inspiring stories that you just mentioned. Because through these stories only we get to know the true possible meaning and the impact that literacy can have on children. So, also, ma'am, while schools play a very significant role, communities, especially when we talk about parents, the society, can be crucial allies to us. So, engaging families into meaningful, roles and thus creating literacy-rich environments beyond classrooms. How do you see this as one of the aspects? And what role can community involvement, especially when we talk about parents, play in strengthening foundational literacy at the grassroots levels? Would like to have your opinion on this.
So, the role of the parents cannot be undermined. I would like to say that you asked about the role of the parents in the community in building a habit of reading and critical thinking, expression. See, the role of the parents cannot be undermined. They play a very important role in building that importance in a child's mind towards reading. If you see that in every home, like some homes discuss news a lot, and you'll find that kids are very up with the current news. In some homes are passionate about, say, animals, and they go for a safari very often. You'll find that kids have a lot of knowledge about animal behavior and different animals. So every house has some passion area or interest area which is highlighted. You can see it in the children, right? Like in my house, we're always talking about new ideas for a business idea, entrepreneurship, and startup. So if you see my kids, they're always talking about some new idea, what can be done about some business venture or something like that, right? But they're always talking about investments. That's what we discuss a lot. So similarly, when this child goes home and the mother or the father in the evening says कि कुछ भी पढ़ो आप, किताब स्टोरी बुक पढ़ो, टेक्स्ट बुक पढ़ो, न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ो, 15 मिनट के लिए आप बस खड़े होके पढ़ो. And whether the mother understands the language or not, that's irrelevant. Whether the father understands English, Hindi, regional, whatever, it's not relevant. The fact is, are they giving importance to reading? That is what is important. When the child issues a book from the library and takes it home, is the mother saying, read this book to your sibling, do some paired reading together, tell me the story, narrate the story, let's discuss what is in the book. It doesn't require you to be literate to all that. Most of our stories were told to us under a banyan tree, right? By travelers. How did we come to know what is happening in far flung places? Because the travelers came, they sat under the shade of the banyan tree, they narrated stories of far flung land. That's how we learned, right? So it's the same thing. A book comes home, ask whoever can read reads it, and there's a discussion on from the book. There is a viewpoint. So it is just the importance you're giving to reading the book. Then you're letting the freedom for anybody to give their point of view from that critical thinking and express it freely without fear. That what if I say that child marriage is something that I would never do, and the mother and the father agree and they say, yes, that's a good point of view. Or the mother and father say that you're a fool. You're going to get married at 16 and stop studying after the 10th. Who's going to look after you? You better go to your husband's house. Stop talking nonsense. So it is the mahal, the environment in the house. Is it conducive towards reading? Is it conducive towards critical thinking, free expression? That is very important. And that's what we have to tell educate the parents during parent teacher meeting, whenever we have interaction with them, that if they create this support at home, it has a ripple effect in their education everywhere. Lifelong learning. In their lifelong education, it will have an impact. From getting one book home, tomorrow they'll bring two books home. From reading one book a week, they will read one book a day. So it's very important to involve the parents, I think. And also when books are issued home, they're sent back to school. They're kept well at home. Yes,
Right.
so I hope I've answered your question about involving the community.
Very,
In villages, we
we
also
have
have.
seen if the parents do not feel involved
Yes,
or at any given point they are not considered important or significant in shaping the
yes,
future or the interest developing the interests among their
yeah,
children,
yes,
then the children also they feel lost. In the school they get
yes,
to listen to certain things from the teacher, and if they are not supported well enough from
yes,
their parents or the other people, family members,
right,
then they might go haywire. So, they get
absolutely,
confused what to do and what
yes,
not to do.
yes,
So, a lot of coordination, I believe, is required between all the stakeholders.
Absolutely. So
So that
parents.
brings me to the next question:
Hmm.
how significant it is, the literacy when we talk about literacy for adults. So you have also, worked extensively with youth and women on a vocational and skill based
Right, right,
education.
right,
So, and foundational literacy, though often associated with young children, is
right.
just as vital for adults. I
Absolutely.
hope you will completely agree with that. So, how do you see foundational literacy connecting with future livelihoods, especially for rural populations?
It's a very good question. Sumita, I used to work with 25 villages. And one day when I was doing a tree plantation drive, so we had a school which was surrounded by villages, and the school catered to the children of these 25 villages. And one day when I was having a plantation drive in these villages, one girl walked up to me and she said, "Bhabhi, हमारे लिए भी कुछ करिए." Basically meaning, "Bhabhi, do something for us. We don't go to school. We're not allowed to go to school. We're illiterate. We're sitting at home. Please do something for us also." And that's where I realized that I've actually left behind a huge chunk of the population. So we started vocational training for them. We opened these stitching centers in the villages for all the women who were not going to school, who were illiterate, to come and learn stitching and vocational training. We had beauty and culture also for that. But I still felt that the confidence level was very low. They didn't know how to read or write. Now just imagine someone who doesn't know how to read or write is like putting a blindfold on your eyes and walking around a city. You cannot read road signs. You cannot fill in any form. You cannot have a bank account. You cannot do so many things. You don't know what is happening in the world because you cannot read the news. You cannot even sign. You cannot order food for yourself. Nothing. What can you do today? You can't even go and use the biggest gadget that you have, the phone, if you cannot read, right? So what happens if I am feeling like at such a loss, right? My psychology will become that I am a secondary citizen to someone who can do all this. The moment my psychology goes to I'm a secondary citizen, I accept abuse, I accept exploitation, and I have a feeling of unworthiness. I have an absolute loss of confidence. And that's when I become subject to a lot of things which, as a human, I should not allow myself being subject to. The moment we give literacy, so literacy has no age. In fact, it's, adult literacy
Right,
is so
right,
fantastic that your brain is so trained to will you learn everything in half the amount of time, maybe one third the amount of time, because the brain is so mature. Your fingers are so strengthened. The writing will come so easily to you. Your brain is so mature, your absorption will come easily to you. Your voice and ability has so practiced now. Kitne to, how many Bollywood songs they must have sung by now. So your voice is also practiced to take out different sounds, right? So adult literacy will come really quickly. The moment adult literacy comes in, and they can go and express themselves from then they read with comprehension, maybe not extensively, but whatever little they can read, they have the confidence to express themselves, their vocabulary is increased. So the communication becomes better.
right.
Because with reading, they'll read something. So the knowledge will increase. कुछ भी पढ़ेंगे, newspaper पढ़ेंगे, magazine पढ़ेंगे, किताब पढ़ेंगे, they will read something. With that reading, their knowledge will increase. When that knowledge
Right, right.
increases and the vocabulary increases, the communication will become better. And the moment
Absolutely.
they're able to express themselves and be able to basically be seen, the confidence will increase. And with confidence increasing, you can come and at least say, Ki, I want to go to, I'm unwell, I need a doctor to go to. My children will go to school. I will not allow child marriage because these are the repercussions of child marriage. I want to open a bank account. I want to do some kind of, I learn some activity and do some kind of small business. All this will come. So
That
first of
will
all,
lead them, to lead a more purposeful and meaningful life.
absolutely give them a voice above everything else. It will give them a voice.
Hmm.
It will give them the power to say no, which is the most least used word and in this in the that group of people who cannot read and write. They have such a low self-worth and a high sense of being a secondary citizen that any attention given to them, whether good, bad, ugly, is accepted. We need them to feel like humans who are equivalent to everybody else. You don't have to be fantastic. You just have to be able to be who you are. That's it.
Yeah, so correctly said, ma'am, as you said, that they'll have more confidence in themselves and they'll be more expressive,
Yes,
and this will make them, in come in such a situation where they will use their own wisdom to decide
absolutely.
major or minor things in their life. They will be able to take
Absolutely.
decisions.
Absolutely. And you know what? The employability goes up. Because don't you want a person who can express themselves and critically think?
Correct.
Let's even take an example of someone who's fully graduated. They come to you, they've got 93% marks. You've got 10 resumes, all 10 are above from 80% to 90%. You chose the best, right? But and the best come them and they are not able to even communicate with you. You give them a paper or you want to discuss something, they're not even to give an opinion. And then there's a person who has not got such well scored, but they are fluent in their communication. They can have a discussion with you. They can give their viewpoint. What will you choose, a thinking mind or a non-thinking mind? You will opt for a thinking mind because you say, "Baki to मैं train कर दूंगी." I can train them. Everybody wants a thinking mind, and the thinking mind will come once you educated. You read, you comprehend what you're reading, you think about it, and you're able to communicate what you've thought. The confidence to communicate.
Correct, correct, ma'am.
It's a communication.
Coming back to the children again, your belief in child centric, or if we go one step ahead by saying child led and
Mhm.
experiential learning stands out strongly. And many FLN programs still focus on speed and coverage rather than meaning and
Yes,
curiosity.
right.
So, how can FLN programs better integrate curiosity, creativity, and comprehension instead of just decoding and making them just able to read?
Deep. Very well, very, very, very well. It's a beautiful question because we really need to move ahead of speed. And I don't believe in speed. I really don't believe in speed. I believe that you have to learn how to read, and your reading fluency is judged by how many words you can read without struggle. I understand that. And once a child is reading fluently, we can confidently say that they're reading with comprehension. But what is next after that? Why is there this whole race to go to international schools, go to universities outside India? What is it that they offer that we don't offer? And one of the things that I find that they offer is their education system and the curriculums are based on developing logic, reasoning, and expression. It is not about rote learning, giving those standardized answers. It's not about that. It's more about understanding the topic, comprehending the topic, being able to analyze situations and apply them in your own way, evaluate them, and give your free standing opinion on them, which is extremely important because we were a country of thinkers and innovators, and the British turned our country into into a country of translators. If we remained a country of thinkers and innovators, this small little group of Britishers would not have been able to rule on us for over 100 years. Look at the expanse of our country and the population of our country. And you think the Raja Maharajas did not have armies? We had everything. And we were thinkers, thinkers and innovators. Look at our scriptures and look at what all we have made. One of the seven wonders of the world is in our country, right? So
Correct,
we've
correct.
done a lot.
Absolutely.
We've done, achieved a lot as a country. What happened to us? Our universities were known as from across the world. People used to come for it to our universities. Nalanda University, people came from far-flung countries into our university. Then what happened to us? We became translators. Our whole education system was turned around. It was turned into an education system where you read, you mugged it up, you vomited the same answers, and marks became important. And you just they what they wanted was translators because they did not understand our different various dialects, our various languages, and they needed translators. They did not want thinkers. We want to reverse it. We want to go back, create thinkers, innovators, entrepreneurs. Our country needs that because that's in our blood. We are that. So, besides reading with comprehension, after they've read a book, they need to apply to the real life. They need to analyze it. They need to evaluate it, to recreate the ending, recreate the title, and they need to express that topic. Okay, if I've read a book on something, I need to express my views on that topic. I want to express my views on the character, on anything in that book. I want to express myself freely without fear. That is what is very important. So, we need to go beyond. We need to go beyond just reading. We need to ignite our children's minds with make them creative, ignite their imagination, give them the confidence to express. That is very important, and it's very easy to do that. You do it with every book, so you repeat it so many times that it becomes automatic. So repetition that leads to automation. It's very simple. It's no rocket science. So that's what we use in the Pustakala project. Pustakala in our libraries, a part of the Pustakala methodology is one is to learn to read. And once you've learned to read, you read to critically analyze a text and then express. And we have a standard methodology for this. And we repeat it so many times that by the time the child passes out of primary school, it's become an automated process. Whatever they read, they analyze it. First of all, they read with comprehension, then automatically the brain analyzes it, and they are eager to express their opinion or their view. And that's what we want our children to be when they come out of our pustakala.
Right, ma'am. Very truly said. So, I believe with that we can wind up today's session. Thanking you for joining today and sharing your inspiring insights. We can, it's very visible your deep commitment, involvement to foundational literacy and meaningful education truly, resonated all of us. And the stories that you shared, and the children that those children who have read, comprehended well, and applied in their own daily life. These all have reminded us that change is possible when we focus on comprehension, curiosity, and collaboration, as you quoted. So, very grateful for your time and for the work that you still continue to do so with your team. Over to you, Grisha.
Thank you, ma'am. It was indeed a very insightful conversation. Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we draw today's detox session to a close, we extend our deepest gratitude to our guest speaker, Ms. Jaishree Goyal, for sharing her time, expertise, and vision with us. Your powerful stories, insights, and ideas have left us truly inspired. You have reminded us that change begins with a conversation, but it is realized through commitment and action. To everyone present here today, let this session serve not just as a source of knowledge, but as a call to action. Whether in classrooms, communities, or conversations, each one of us has a role to play in shaping a literate, empowered, and equitable society. Let's carry this momentum forward together. Thank you.
Should we be objective? Should we be the agents?
Do we have a strong assessment and informed instruction